The black car tells the unsettling story of an individual who experiences a close call while making a sandwich delivery late at night. The series of events that unfold suggest a well-planned attempt to abduct the delivery driver, raising questions about the eerie presence of the black car and the sinister intentions of the driver. The protagonist begins their night like any other, delivering a sandwich order in a quiet neighborhood. It is around 11 p.m. and the protagonist is driving alone with their music on, seemingly unaware of the danger that is about to unfold. As the protagonist waits at a red light, they notice another car pull up beside them. The car, with heavily tinted windows, is uncomfortably close and almost impossible to see into. Despite this, the protagonist feels a sense of unease but brushes it off, attributing it to the silence of the night. As the light turns green and the protagonist moves forward, they observe that the black car does not follow them. Instead, it remains at the intersection, parked and still. This initial strange behavior foreshadows a deeper sense of foreboding, yet the protagonist decides to continue with their task, dismissing the incident as an odd coincidence. The protagonist reaches the neighborhood where the delivery is to be made. The area, although looking like a typical suburban neighborhood, gives off a strange, unsettling vibe. The houses are devoid of lights, an unusual detail considering that they all appear to be newly built and well-maintained. It almost seems as if the area is abandoned, yet the houses appear too pristine to be so. Arriving at the house where the delivery is supposed to take place, the protagonist notices that the house, like the others, has no lights on. There is no warmth or life in the windows. When the protagonist knocks, the door swings open slightly, as though it is not properly secured. Stepping inside, the protagonist peeks through the door and is shocked to see that the house is completely empty. No furniture, no decorations, nothing. The eerie stillness is broken only by dust drifting through the open doorway. Confused and unnerved, the protagonist retreats back to their car. However, when they look down the street, they see the black car again. This time it is parked closer to the protagonist's location, its headlights off, and it seems to be waiting. The protagonist recognizes the car instantly, but the realization that it could be the same car from earlier sends a chill down their spine. Fearing for their safety, the protagonist hurries back to their car but is startled by movement in the reflection of the car's window. Looking closer, they spot something blocking the back window of the black car, confirming their worst fear: someone is hiding inside. Panic sets in as the protagonist realizes that they are not alone, and someone has been following them. Suddenly, a man dressed in black emerges from the black car, and although he does not chase the protagonist, he heads straight for the vehicle, suggesting he might have planned something sinister. The protagonist, terrified, runs back to the house and dials 911. At this point, fear overrides logic, and the protagonist remains frozen, unsure of the next steps. The police arrive and inform the protagonist that the entire neighborhood is uninhabited. Those newly built houses were empty, with no residents. The authorities explain that similar incidents have been reported by other delivery drivers in the area, where a person would place an order with a fake name and address, only to follow the driver after delivery. In the protagonist's case, the man had sneaked into their car, likely intending to harm them. Fortunately, the police were able to respond in time. The protagonist never finds out what exactly the man intended to do, but the unsettling nature of the encounter haunts them. The black car and its hidden driver serve as a reminder of the dangers that can lurk in seemingly normal situations. The protagonist's quick thinking, aided by the police's timely arrival, prevented a much worse outcome. However, the experience leaves a permanent scar, as the protagonist is left with the haunting thought of how close they came to becoming the next victim in a series of terrifying events. It was a quiet evening when I agreed to house sit for my good friends while they were away for a week. They had a few fish tanks and a bunch of houseplants that needed taken care of, and in exchange I'd get to stay in their spacious home, a welcome break from my tiny apartment. I arrived early, spent a few hours hanging out, and by 6 p.m. I decided to pick up some dinner. After eating in the living room, I was settling down to watch TV when I heard a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I got up to check. Standing on the other side was a man in his 30s, dressed casually, with no delivery uniform. He looked startled when he saw me, but quickly recovered, and asked if my friend was home. He even called my friend by name. I told him my friend was out, and that he would have to come back another time. The man didn't say anything else, he just turned and walked away. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then something felt off. I sent my friend a quick text to let him know someone had come by asking for him. My friend called right away, but to my surprise, he had no idea who the man was. That didn't sit right with me, but I shrugged it off. I continued with my evening, watering plants and feeding the fish. As the night went on, I started getting ready for bed around 9 p.m. Just as I was settling down on the couch, there was another knock at the door. My heart skipped a beat. I didn't open it this time. I simply shouted through the door, asking the man to come back another day. I heard him hesitate, standing on the other side of the door for a moment, before walking away again. I double-checked the locks and decided to call it a night, but something didn't feel right. Around 10:30 p.m., I went to the kitchen and noticed that the front door was unlocked. I was sure I had locked it earlier. My stomach dropped. I walked cautiously over to the couch to grab my phone, but it wasn't there. Panic set in. I rushed out of the room, and that's when I saw it. The door was open just slightly. Someone had been inside. My mind raced. I grabbed my keys and ran out of the house, dialing 911 from my car as I parked down the street. When the police arrived, they found the man inside, hiding in one of the spare bedrooms. He didn't speak a word during the arrest, but they found a forged key in his pocket that matched the front door lock. The man had been planning to break in, and it was only by chance that I'd caught the warning signs. Later, my friend confirmed he had no idea who the man was. It was terrifying to think what might have happened if I hadn't noticed the unlocked door, or if I hadn't gotten out in time. The experience left me shaken, but it also made me realize how important it is to trust your instincts, even when things seem innocent. The story begins with an individual experiencing a seemingly ordinary evening after a long workday. After returning home around 10 p.m., the narrator decides to unwind by playing video games. As the night stretches on, the house remains quiet, and the setting appears typical, except for a few strange occurrences that unsettle the individual. These subtle disturbances would soon escalate into a terrifying realization that someone was inside the house. It all begins with a faint noise, barely audible at first, resembling a knock. The narrator removes their headphones, trying to identify the source of the sound. However, after checking the front porch, no one is there. They initially dismiss it, attributing it to external factors like the house's aging structure, which often causes creaks and noises. However, despite the logical explanation, a sense of unease lingers. A short while later, another sound is heard. This time a click, as though something is closing. The narrator, now on edge, gets up again and performs a walkthrough of the house. Yet no clear source of the noise is found, and everything seems in order. The individual returns to their gaming setup, trying to shake off the anxiety that is building. As they resume playing, the tension heightens. A reflection moves across the computer screen. It's a movement from the corner of their eye, but it's unmistakable. The narrator, overwhelmed with dread, quickly realizes that someone has entered the house. The reflection is no longer just a mere trick of the light. It signals the presence of an intruder. The sense of danger escalates when the narrator figures out that the shadow moving on the screen is coming from the hallway behind them, specifically from the bedroom area. This realization grips them with fear, as they know they are no longer alone. The intruder is likely in the same space, with the narrator just a few feet away. This ominous situation forces the narrator to make a split-second decision: escape. In a panic, the narrator runs toward the front door, desperate to get out of the house. They don't know the intentions of the intruder, but the thought of facing someone who could potentially harm them is enough to spur them into action. As they flee, the silence of the house is deafening, amplifying the sense of dread. Each second feels like an eternity, knowing that the intruder might jump out at any moment. Upon reaching safety, the narrator contacts the authorities. The police arrive and enter the house, their investigation confirming the worst fears. There was indeed someone inside. A man around 55 years old, large and disheveled, was discovered in the home. He had 2 knives on him, and his presence was completely unprovoked. The narrator had been an innocent target, with no specific reason for the intruder to choose them. The man's condition and his intention to break into the home make it clear that he was mentally unstable, willing to do anything without hesitation. The terrifying realization is that the narrator had been extremely fortunate that night. The intruder was clearly unhinged, and had the narrator not made the critical decision to run, the outcome could have been much worse. The sheer randomness of the situation, being targeted without any warning, adds to the horror. The narrator's luck in escaping is a chilling reminder of how vulnerable we can be, even in the safety of our own homes. This story underscores a crucial point: the dangers of living alone, and the importance of being aware of your surroundings. What might seem like a series of innocent noises or coincidences can turn into a deadly situation. Trusting one's instincts is key. The narrator's actions, though based in panic, were ultimately what saved their life. A situation that could have ended in violence instead concluded with relief, but it also left a lasting impression about the fragility of personal safety. In conclusion, the reflection in the screen serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of danger. The story captures the terror of a person who, amidst the mundane activity of gaming, finds themselves thrust into a life-threatening situation. The eerie reflection on the computer screen became a pivotal moment that saved the narrator's life. It is a tale that urges people to stay vigilant, trust their gut, and never underestimate the importance of securing their environment.